This video is brought to you by Guitar Center.
That's a good sound. Everybody loves a good budget guitar, and hopefully there is a good budget guitar in this box. This is a Squier Affinity Telecaster that's a little bit special, and I'll explain why in a moment. But first, let's unbox this and see what it's like out of the box. Right, headstock reveal. Now, it's a matching headstock. Look at that. And what does it match? What does it match? Can I get it out of the bag? Oh, I've ripped the bag. Oh well, it's gone now. With that, a metallic orange Blackguard double humbucker Telecaster. What a gorgeous looking guitar. And that neck's supposed to be modern C, which I guess it is. It's just there's a bit more of it. And it's a little bit dusty. I'm wondering if that actually needs... That could potentially need a bit more sanding work done to it. Oh dear. Anyway, I'll wipe that over in a minute because I think it is just spare dust that's been left. Free dust. We've got two newly voiced Squier humbuckers, a three-way switch, volume and tone, a bridge that is hardtail, but we've got string through here. Can you also put the strings through there? No, so it's string through only. You might have noticed the little belly curve just there, which is something special for an Affinity. Get that off there. It's a laurel fretboard with a maple neck. Then we've got tuners, non-locking, a nut, which we'll have a look at in a moment, bolt-on neck, of course, and 21 rather medium-looking frets. I did mention that this was sent out by Guitar Center, and this is a Guitar Center exclusive color. So while you can get this model from other places, this particular color with orange matching headstock is Guitar Center only. All right, let's tune it up and see what the tuning experience is like. That is sweet. You know, on these cheaper guitars, sometimes you get some popping and pinging and sticking in the nut. Not happening today, not on this telly. But I am going to bend the strings out and tune it again, because if you know guitars out of the box, then you know that they don't stay in tune straight away, which is why I do my reviews mostly with guitars straight out the box, so that you can see what you would get if you were buying this telly. Not bad, but not perfect. All right, this time there's a little bit of slippage on the G and the D string. I'm also going to take these off. Yes, that's the ticket. Here you go. Oh yeah. Oh no, didn't get it in one. Come on. Yes. Well done, Andy. I'm also going to take this off because then you get to see the glorious black of the pick guard. Sorry for the noises I make whilst doing this, by the way. I'm not used to being quiet. There's still one more protective cover on there, but should I leave that on? Yeah, I'll leave that on for now. Back to first impressions. Playability is great. The action is just where I like it. The problem, though, is, I've never said it before, this neck is a little dusty, and I might need to get some... Well, it needs to be cleaned, but I might need to get something on that rag to clean it off, because the rag on its own doesn't seem to be enough. But it is coming off. It just needs a bit of persuasion. Yeah, there it is. It's coming off nicely. So this should be a satiny neck, and it's not. It's a dusty neck. I'm going to do this in my own time, I think. Hang on. There. That's better. It's more like a... It's so satin, it's more like an unfinished neck. It's almost raw, but it's now not dusty, and it's now quite slippery. I did notice some other things during that, but I'll talk about those in the good, bad, and ugly review part of the guitar. Let's hear what it sounds like just through the Fender Deluxe Reverb clean. Okay, really pokey in the bridge. Quite hard to control on some of the notes because there's some squeaks coming out. The middle, very strangely nice. And that neck is definitely my favorite sound so far. Beautiful. Okay, some things I've noticed from playing it. The neck is now a lot better. It just needed cleaning off and slightly dusting, but somebody had either left too much dust in the place at the time or they hadn't done their final wipe down. The frets are a little scratchy. The attention to detail of the body and everything needs some work. We'll talk about that in the review section. But sound-wise, I love it, and it's very comfortable. It's almost mid-jazz mastery kind of, you know, just the comfort part. I love that belly cutaway. That reminds me of a jazz master. But because of that cutaway, I keep looking for the whammy bar because I think it's a Strat. It's not. It's a Telly. Right. Here are my top 5 tones, and I'll do a mix of amp and pedals and then the Laney amp as well, so we get some cheaper sounds, hopefully with some expensive tones. I think it sounds great, and there's plenty of playability on tap. I have absolutely no complaints about that. I wonder how it sounds with the neck pickup. Ooh. I know the Rattler is doing a lot of heavy lifting there, but this guitar is interacting with it beautifully. And this setup with that pedal, this guitar, and that amp just sounds fun. I think the pickups are slightly microphonic, which is adding to that feedback that I'm getting from the speaker, which you might not get if you're using modelers or you're not using a real guitar amp. But here, it just sounds beautiful. It sounds like I wanted to sound in the 90s. So that's with the 45 caliber from J Rocket, a Marshall JTM 45 sort of amp in a box. And this is where I'm making my decision that this guitar is more suited to high gain, thrashy, chunkiness. So I'm trying to give it some country-ish or some low gainy country stuff. And I know the pedal's not ideal, but the guitar, the pickups start to crumble a little bit. But stick it behind some high gain stuff and it sounds glorious. So let's try that through the Laney amp, which is an affordable solid state amplifier. That's a good sound. I don't care how much that costs. Well, I do know how much it costs, by the way. It costs $284.99, but I don't care how much it costs. It sounds great, and it's great fun to play through that, which is about the same price, I think. Yeah, phenomenal. Let's back off the Laney and get it to channel 1 and a bit cleaner. Symmetrical, and turn the boost off and see if it gets any bluesy out of it at all. Okay, I'm not a huge fan of it clean. This combination to me doesn't sound ideal. There's a lot of punch. Like the attack on this is huge. It's going clack. and I don't know if that's the amp or the guitar, so I'm going to have to switch back to the Fender in a moment, but I think the neck pickup sound I prefer more than the bridge. I don't know how you feel about that. Let me know. You know, I always like to read what you think and you say. But I think the neck sounds absolutely glorious, and with some fuzzy sounds, that's going to sound so sustaining. But the bridge is somewhat, I don't know, uninteresting and too aggressive. But because I don't like it, some of you might. Let's have a little look at the range of the knobs. Yeah, that tone pot and that volume pot is quite aggressive in the cuts. There's not much subtlety in chopping off just a little bit. It seems to be, as soon as you touch it, it does do quite a lot. The switch seems nice and switchy though, so I'm looking forward to taking this apart and having a look at what's going on inside. Oh wow, okay, that looks kind of cool. So nothing under there. If I could take that sticker off, even without the pick guard, that would look pretty awesome. I do need to take the pickups out though, because we need to see what's going on. Let's take off the control plate. So one of my biggest questions here is, are the pickups coil splittable? Because I did try pulling that earlier and the knobs just come off, and frankly they come off that one a little bit too easily. So I might actually spread that out a little bit to stop that happening in the future. There we go. Right, no coil split at all, but can they be split? I don't know. It doesn't look like it, does it? So no, you cannot coil split these. That's just a single cable going from the neck pickup to the switch. And then, of course, they'll be the same on this one. Let's just have a quick look. So it's the same, but different. We've got a green cable, but it's not able to be coil split. While we're in here, there's no shielding or anything. That's just spray from the body. And yeah, okay, I'll put them back in and we'll measure the output of the pickups. Let's see if that's conductive paint. It should be. It isn't. Oh, wow. Okay, so they've just painted it black just to make it look like they've done a bit more work. That should be beeping if there's a connection. So there we go. That's grounded. That's not conductive paint. Cheaters. What's the point then? Oh, a good moment for this to take away that final film. Yeah. So, output of the bridge pickup is 8.8 kilo ohms, and the neck pickup is 8.6-ish, and then it should be about 4.5 for this. Bang on 4.4. Darn it. Let's have a look at these fret ends. Running it down, I can hear a little bit of click, but not much. That is not bad for what I was expecting. You can barely see it on there. Maybe you can see it better there, but I couldn't feel anything with my hand. The fret ends are fine. So pretty much exactly what you should expect from a Squier Affinity. It's put together well, but there's not too much time spent on it. The pickups work and they have a medium output, but I was expecting a bit of a higher output on the look of this guitar. It works, and I think it will work for a while. I don't think there's going to be any issues with any switches or pots or anything. That's what you get from a Squier Affinity most of the time. Let's have a look at how much it weighs, however. So Squier and Guitar Center are saying this is lightweight. I'm agreeing with them. How much is it, though? 3.1 kilograms, or 6 pounds, 12 ounces. There we go. I'd certainly call that lightweight. We just need to check if it's neck heavy or not. So I get to do my little dance. So let's pop a strap on. Fits on nicely. No problem with the strap buttons. There we go. And let's see if this thing neck dives. A little bit. Quite a lot. But if I was playing it, doesn't feel like it. I can't believe I haven't played any Sum 41 or Avril Lavigne on this. What am I doing? Yeah, it's super comfortable. That is a very comfortable telly to have on one's strap. I'm going to show you another close-up just because I think it's a beautiful looking guitar, and then we'll move on to the good, the bad, and the ugly. So, the good, and it's a big good. Look at it. Metallic orange with matching headstock, black hardware, and a black pickguard with 2 humbuckers. I think from a design point of view, Squier have absolutely nailed this. It's so desirable to someone like me. I just think it's absolutely gorgeous. I like their headstock, the way they've just sort of printed that on there in white. It stands out, so it's certainly not hiding that it's a Squier, but it certainly is a Tele. The second thing has got to be this belly cut. I don't think I've ever played, I certainly haven't owned a Telecaster with a belly cut. And if you played a Tele or other certain guitars, you'll know that you sometimes get a bruise sort of on your rib cage and you think, ow, that hurts. Why? Or if you're a lefty, ow, why does that hurt? And it's because of the guitar. And with this, you're just not going to get that. And I like to pull the guitars in tight, and that feels super comfortable. And when you stand up with it on the strap, you could just play it for days because of the weight and the comfort. Absolutely mind-blowing in that respect. The last thing about the good is it came out of the box super playable, action-wise and intonation-wise. Intonation could use a bit of TLC, but it's a $284.99 guitar. I think Squier have done amazingly well on that aspect. However, to move over to the first bad thing about this, that neck was so dusty out of the box, I really thought that it hadn't been finished. It felt like it hadn't been sanded just here. But I kind of just sort of murked it around with that rag, and it's fine now. In fact, there's still a little bit of dust just there. But as you play it, that's going to get even better. There we go. Get rid of that. I mentioned earlier that the frets were scratchy. That scratchiness has already gone from just me playing it in this video. So yes, it was scratchy at first. There is nothing to complain about. However, as it's a Squier, all guitars with this price point would benefit from a bit of TLC. The hardware is good here. It's not so great here. The tuners could be better. They do slip a little bit when you're tuning. When I'm playing, it's rock solid. I've had no more tuning issues on this guitar than I would expect to have on any guitar, and they hold it true. The big thing is, would I take it on stage in its out-of-the-box condition? And the answer is a very strong maybe, because I'd want to probably change the strings. They're a little bit slinky for my liking. They are, in fact. We've got 9s to 42. That's 9 to 42 on there. I think chuck some 10 to 46s on this, or even 10 to 52s, and you've got a chug machine. But anyway, back to the bad stuff. Yeah, if I'm really going to pick on it, the finish, there's a little bit of orange peel on the back. And I don't mean the look of the guitar. I mean where the paint is a little streak. And it's so small that I can't even point it out on camera. But I will say, just in case you pick one up, it shouldn't even be commented upon. But I did. If you notice any white bits, like just by this ferrule, it's just polish where they haven't wiped off the polish properly afterwards. It's not destroyed or in any way damaged. And back to the TLC point, this laurel fretboard is quite dry. And if you're thinking it's a rosewood fretboard that looks dry, laurel does tend to look a bit like dry rosewood, but I would still want to give that a bit of conditioning and maybe just a little bit of, again, as I said, TLC to spruce it up a little bit. And down to the ugly, I don't think there's anything ugly about this guitar at all. It's affordable, it's slightly more expensive because of the upgraded features and the color, I would say. But if you're looking for a super cool Telecaster with 2 humbuckers, this should definitely be on your list. And if you can do your own setups and if you're comfortable with giving guitars a little bit of a once-over, you're going to get a lot of bang for your buck. And if you want to get one for yourself, there's a link to Guitar Center in the video description because this is a Guitar Center exclusive. There's the subscribe button, there's another video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye!